John Bolton pleaded not guilty Friday to charges accusing the former President Donald Trump national security advisor turned critic of emailing classified information to family members and keeping top secret documents at his Maryland home. Bolton did not comment to reporters as he entered the courthouse in Greenbelt, Maryland, where he made his initial appearance before a judge on the 18-count indictment brought against him on Thursday. It's the third criminal case brought in recent weeks by the Justice Department against a Trump adversary and is unfolding against the backdrop of growing concerns that the Republican president is using the law enforcement agency to seek retribution against his perceived enemies. Now, I have become the latest target in weaponizing the Justice Department to charge those he deems to be his enemies with charges that were declined before or distort the facts, Bolton said in a statement after a grand jury returned the indictment on Thursday. Keep in mind, all this information that he's being indicted on was vetted and deemed no longer confidential, no longer imperative information, no longer up to date, all of these things. Everything was vetted after he was fired. They were vetted, it was vetted under the previous Trump administration. Bolton is accused of sharing with his wife and daughter more than 1,000 pages of notes that included sensitive national defense information he had gleaned from meetings with other U.S. government officials and foreign leaders or from intelligence briefings. Authorities say some of the information was exposed with operatives believed to be linked to the Iranian government hacked Bolt's email account he used to send the diary-like notes about his activities to relatives. And when his email was hacked, he informed the Justice Department. It was then under the Biden administration. But I need you all to keep in mind that multiple former politicians, high-ranking politicians, have written books in the same genre as Bolton. And with that being said, Mitt Romney, is that why you're quiet right now? Mark Meadows, keep your head on the swivel. You might be up next. Bolton, 76, is a longtime fixture in Republican foreign policy circles who became known for his hawkish views on American power and who served for more than a year in Trump's first administration before being fired in 2019. He later published a book highly critical of Trump. If this was so devastating, because when the book came out, Trump started with these claims that have now turned into an indictment, but if this was true, yes, investigations take time, but this investigation wouldn't have taken all this time given that he, and it was confirmed, was keeping the powers that be abreast on the progress of his book and constantly sending it in for approval to ensure he did not release anything that was classified. There is one tier of justice for all Americans, Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a statement Thursday. Is there though? Is there though? Because if that's the case, why aren't you pushing for prosecutions regarding the Epstein-Maxwell files? Anyone who abuses a position of power and jeopardizes our national security will be held accountable. No one is above the law. So you're going to pick up where Jack Smith left off and finally break the tradition of not indicting a sitting president since no one is above the law? And you recognize that taking classified files would jeopardize national security, especially when you don't have those files vetted to make sure that you don't have any up-to-date classified information, you know, like what Trump did. The indictment is significantly more detailed in its allegations than earlier cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. Unlike in those cases filed by a hastily appointed U.S. attorney, Bolton's indictment was signed by career national security prosecutors. While the Bolton investigation burst into public view in August when the FBI searched his home in Maryland and his office in Washington, the inquiry was well underway by the time Trump had taken office in January. The indictment suggests Bolton was aware of the impropriety of sharing classified information with people not authorized to receive it, citing an April news media interview in which he chastised the Trump administration officials for using Signal to discuss sensitive military details. Though the anecdote is meant by prosecutors to show Bolton understood proper protocol for government secrets, Bolton's legal team may also point to it to argue a double standard in enforcement because the Justice Department is not known to have opened any investigations into the Signal episode. And last we checked, they were still chit-chatting on Signal. There were a couple times that some photojournalists caught a few people in the Oval messaging on Signal still. Authorities say Bolton took meticulous notes about his meetings and briefings as National Security Advisor and then used a personal email account and messaging platform to share information classified as high as top secret with his family members. After sending one document, Bolton wrote in the message to his relatives, none of which we talk about. In response to one of his relatives wrote, "Shh," prosecutors said. But that also could be in relation to not wanting to leak what was going to be in the book so people would purchase the book. There are arguments on all sides here. The two family members were not identified in court papers, but a person familiar with the case who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss non-public details identified them as Bolton's wife and daughter. A Bolton representative told the FBI in July 2021 that his email account had been hacked by operatives believed to be linked to the Iranian government, but did not reveal he had shared classified information through the account or that hackers now have possession of government secrets, according to the indictment. But once again, this was information that he turned over, that was vetted, and that he was allowed to keep. Also, the book has been out for a while. I believe it came out in 2020. So this has been read. This has been vetted. The indictment also accuses Bolton of storing at his home top secret intelligence about a foreign adversary's plan to attack the U.S. forces overseas, covert action taken by the U.S. government, or other information authorities say could put the country's national security at risk. But what Trump had couldn't put... Okay. Bolton's attorney, Abby Lowell, said in a statement that the underlying facts in the case were investigated and resolved years ago. He said the charges stem from portions of Bolton's personal diaries over his 45-year career in government and included unclassified information that was shared only with his immediate family and was known to the FBI as far back as 2021. Like many public officials throughout history, Lowell said, Bolton kept diaries. That is not a crime. He said Bolton did not unlawfully share or store any information. Bolton suggested the criminal case was an outgrowth of an unsuccessful Justice Department effort after he left government to block the publication of his 2020 book, The Room Where It Happened, which portrayed Trump as grossly misinformed about foreign policy. Does Trump understand that this indictment and litigation will not remove the book from stores, libraries, people's homes, digital platforms? The Trump administration asserted that Bolton's manuscript contained classified information that could harm national security if exposed. Bolton's lawyers have said he moved forward with the book after a White House National Security Council official with whom Bolton had worked with for months said the manuscript no longer had classified information. So Trump, are the people who work for you competent or incompetent? That's the question.